All right, here's our video notes for amplitude and vertical shift. We are going to be dealing with the A value and the D value today. Just like when we've dealt with parent functions in the past, this leading coefficient at the very beginning is going to be a vertical stretch or compress, and this variable D at the end is going to be a vertical shift up or down. So for this first function, we have 3 times sine of x. We're going to start with our parent values of 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, 2 pi. And for sine, the first y value on our unit circle for 0 is 0, then 1, 0, negative 1, 0. In fact, I just want you to pause the video and just fill in your XY tables for all of these. I don't want to take video time to do that. Cosine starts with 1 and goes 1, 0, negative 1, 0. So fill in your tables along the side and then come back to the video. Okay, my tables are all filled in. For this first function, we have 3 times sine x. So you're going to be taking all your y values and multiplying them by 3 all the way down. That's going to give me 0, 3, 0, negative 3, 0. So my new points are 0, 0. And I'm going to graph one cycle in black and then fill in my left and right repetitions in red so you can see the difference. At pi over 2, my y value is now 3. At pi, I'm at 0. 3 pi over 2, I'm at negative 3. And at 2 pi, my y value is now 0. All right, so here's one cycle. And a few things I want you to notice. We're going to fill in the rest to the left and right just using a counting pattern. We're not going to do an XY table for every single one of these points. And so a few things about the counting pattern to help you out. Each cycle has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. Okay, you're at the midline, above, midline, below, back to midline. So if you can think, and then you're skipping over pi over 2 each time. So if you can just think about that pattern, we're going to fill in like this. So here I'm coming from above, I'm at the midline, so I'm going over pi over 2 and then up to my max value. And then over pi over 2 and then down to mid. So it's up and then mid, or midline. And then to the left, so now I'm going down this way. So I'm at the midline, over and down, over midline, over max, over midline, over min, over midline. Remember to connect them with as much of a smooth curve as you can. Try not to do a jagged connecting. All right, for this next one, we are now multiplying our y's by negative 5. So this is going to be a vertical stretch and a reflection over the x-axis. And what I mean by vertical stretch, real quick, if you remember our original sine y values going back here to this first cycle, we had 0, 0 at pi over 2, it went up to 1, then here, then down to negative 1, then 0. So this is our original sine, the first cycle. And so multiplying the y values by 3 made it stretch vertically. Same thing here, vertical stretch and a reflection over x. So take all your y's and multiply them by negative 5, all of these. So these are my new values. I'm going to graph just that one cycle in black, 0, negative 5, pi over 2, 0, pi and 5, 3 pi over 2, 0, and then 2 pi and negative 5. And now I'm just going to repeat that pattern left to right. So I'm going, so this one is my low point. So I'm going to go over and mid point, over max point. And then to the left, I'm starting at this low point here. So I'm going to go over to the midline, then over to my max. Over to the midline, over to the mid, over to the midline, over to the max. And there we go. On number 3, we have 2 transformations happening to our y values. We are still going to have a vertical stretch times 4, and then a vertical shift down of 2 places. And we're starting with our sine graph. So to our y values, we are going to be multiplying by 4 and subtracting 2 to all of these values. So if you want to pause your video and do that, this is going to give me -2, 2, -2, -6, -2. So I'm going to graph one cycle. My new 0 point is at 0, -2. At pi over 2, my y is +2. At pi, I'm at -2. At 3 pi over 2, I'm at -6. And then at 2 pi, I'm back at -2. So you can see my midline shifted because of the vertical shift down. So now my midline is no longer the x-axis, it's right here. So when I do my counting pattern, I'm going to keep that in mind. So now I'm going over, so I'm coming up from my low point to my mid, so now I'm going over and up to the max value, over, down to the mid value. And then to the left, I'm starting at the mid value, and it's going down as x goes to -infinity. So I'm going to go over and down to my mid, over up to mid, over up to max, over down to mid, over down to min, and then over up to mid. Try to remember to do that midpoint line, that midpoint each time. All right, and then on this last one, we are multiplying our y values by 1/2 and then adding 1. Times 1/2, add 1. I'm going to throw in some decimals here just to make the counting easier. So that gives me 1.5. 0 times 1/2 is 0, plus 1 is 1. -1/2 times 1/2 is -0.5, plus 1 is 0.5. 0 plus 1 is 1, and 1/2 plus 1 is 1.5. So here's my first point, 0, 1.5. Oh, and first I want to talk about what you think the shape might look like. If you're taking all the y values and multiplying by less than 1 by a fraction, this is a vertical compression. So where all these previous graphs were stretched, this new one's going to be flattened. And we'll see how that looks. At pi over 2, I'm at 1. At pi, I'm at 0.5. At 3 pi over 2, I'm at 1. And at 2 pi, I'm at 1.5. So there's our first cycle. You can definitely see how it's been flattened out. So I'm going to fill in the rest. So my new midline is right here. And the center line. So I'm going to keep that in mind as I do my counting pattern. So this is my max value, so I'm going to go over into the midline, over to my min value. Then to the left, this is my max value. I'm going to go over into the midpoint, over to the min point, over to the mid, over to the max, over to the mid, over to the min. And that's it. Oh, on the homework sheet, it's the homework sheet has two sides. For this lesson, so you're just going to do, so this is tomorrow's notes, was the second page of your packet. The third page is the practice problem. So for today's lesson, you're just doing this side, 1 through 4, and then this back side goes with tomorrow's lesson.